We'll see if that's what they're going to go for as we're ready for picks and bans here in game number 3. Spacestation has that first pick yet again. The team that's had first pick has won all the games so far, so good start for Spacestation Gold if they want to get their first set victory of Season 6 so far. Pretty crazy to think about that when they've played pretty well so far today. So I think despite the Game 2 loss and with Game 3 still looming, there's still a much better step for Spacestation Gold this week.
This is probably the best that they've looked the entire split so far, and I don't think anybody's really looking to argue against that one. But one big thing that's also stood out for me with Spacestation Gold is I honestly think that it just boils down to the fact that Mask has returned a little bit more to that, I think, SPL Mask that a lot of people envisioned when he was first announced to being on this roster.
Ooh, Discordia ban here from Spacestation is an interesting one. Naja was their first ban, but Discordia this time around. This is kind of the first pick, throw away a ban, don't have to really worry about what we're doing after that. And Freya, the other ban from Armada, so they don't want Oswald getting that back. This does leave open King Arthur if that's where Uzi wants to go, whose name is Arthur, by the way. That's some inherent synergy there.
Does he get a passive, you think? Probably, but it's going to be the Bacchus. I think that Spacestation Gold would much rather... I honestly think it's safe to assume that Baskin's probably not going to really care all that much about picking King Arthur here.
Especially when he just picked Kamazats, right? Where that's the counter matchup. I think that they kind of bait Spacestation Gold and leave it open, but Spacestation don't take the bait. Instead, they go with the Bacchus, which I like much more. As we said, Matty Pocket very comfortable with this pick. Gino also very comfortable with this pick. But Agni Gibalanke, the two picks that Spacestation Gold just ran to a little bit lacking effectiveness, are taken early here by Armada.
I will say, this is probably also some of the lowest early game pressure compositions that we've seen out of Armada so far as well. I think that they're playing things a little bit more traditionally because of that flop in game 1, at least for their starting point of match 1, because I know that they managed to bring it back by the mid and late game, and that was, a tough one for Spacestation Gold to close out, but I'm surprised we haven't seen any of the Arachne from Scream. I mean, or even the Ratatosker. There hasn't really been a chance for Ratatosker to be picked. I know that much because of the fact that both of these teams are prioritizing it in the banning phase. But I think it's only a matter of time before Armada starts kind of falling back to the whole Baskin Ratatosker, Scream running like on Arachne, or something that has like a good pressure to synchronize.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. I mean, RDO can bring pressure in support or in solo lane, though usually more so in support than in the solo lane by herself. But you're right, this is a little bit lower pressure overall for Armada, and they've been struggling a bit in the early game so far in this set. So maybe that's in a window of opportunity here for Spacestation Gold. And surprise, surprise, Armada bans junglers against Mask, but Achilles could be going for Mask in the jungle here.
It's definite for a flex pick. I like the idea of it more so on Uzi, though. I think that Uzi had a great game 1 on this Achilles and was able to control a lot of the team fights because of the fact that he was able to just push all of Armada back and away. Of course, it might be a little bit more complicated since Armada have better range here in game 3 between the Agni and the Shivalanke. I also think Darkest Night. Well, yeah, scripted.
Yeah, you had it under lock there. Arachne, the pick for Scream, though I guess it could go over to Baskin, theoretically.
Oh, that'd be so gross.
A little Arachne solo for Baskin.
I could see Baskin
that'd be kind of
doing
sweet.
that.
I'm kind of down for that. Baka, the pick here for Mask, going for back to that hyper carry sort of selection, alongside the Zhang Kui, a comfort pick for Amuel, one that he really likes, and can do pretty well against Arachne, but also can get bodied by Arachne. It's kind of whoever gets ahead in that matchup ends up really eating the other alive.
I think that Zhang Kui just has to be focused on stacking up his bag, his ghost bag. As long as he can get his passive worked up and get some of those protections online.
Is that Neath solo?
This doesn't surprise me anymore. This is Baskin we're talking about.
Maybe it's X-Ball jungle.
No, Neath solo is probably the only realistic option
solo,
here,
right?
Because he's got World Weaver that's going to be able to interact with the rest of his team.
Okay. All right, they win one game, and they're right back to the nonsense, I guess. That's how it goes. Game 3 coming at you. We'll figure out where they all are in just a moment with John Finch and Anatoly.
It's got to be the Arachne, right? I think that Baskin would only take something he could hard carry on, right?
No,
it's the
the
knee.
knee.
All right, well, there you go. Okay.
And he's rushing it, Gavol.
Oh, is that the play? Oh, he sure is. Look at it. Iqbal Neath. That's 70 power, baby.
It's a good tier 2
75
item, though.
even.
I think it's, what, 1,200 gold for a lot of attack speed and a little bit of power.
What was it, 10 and 20?
Yeah, 10 power, 20% attack speed for about 1,200 gold or so.
Yeah.
And he has enough to finish off the Hell Challenge, so yeah, not a bad start.
Not too bad. How is this matchup going to be to this Achilles, though? I got to imagine he's getting bullied a little bit.
Oh, yeah, he is. So he's absolutely getting bullied.
Yeah, but
Like-
I guess he gets a few stacks. There is less attack speed, but Uz doesn't care,
Like,
right?
the thing is, Uzi is going to be able to ignore the wave and basic attack you. And as an Achilles, you're doing that already to Warriors, so what's to stop you from doing it to a Hunter?
Exactly. He should be able to very easily establish some pressure. I think so. We see Baskin willing to go right on over to that blue. No need to pretend like he can stick around here in this matchup. But you heard Taco talk about it. The World Weaver can come from this side lane. The ultimate from Snoopy can come from the side lane. In these skirmishes between the mid, jungle, if the supports are roaming, Armada are going to have way more helping hands.
Scream trying to invade the red buff will actually walk away like a bandit. No red buff experience for Amuel or the buff itself. Even getting the left side mid camps. And yeah, talking about that matchup there, Neat able to get her blue buff very early with the assistance of those spiders.
Well, this root's going to land because Oswald's already had to use the beans, and Snoopy is able to use the branching bolas to find first blood. That means Maddie can't do much, and Snoopy on the board already. Armada up 1-0.
You can't body block the bolas at the end of the day, and that's a huge pick to allow Snoopy that first blood bounty to finish off the Transcendence now.
He should be able to go back and start getting work on that before too long. Likely will be coming through with that tier 2 first, but wow, they're doing the full-on proxy, running right through the tier 1 to start clearing the waves. They might pay a little bit for this, though, as there's a skirmish in the middle lane happening as well. Amuel quite low, and he falls back, and right back to the duo action.
I'm really surprised that they opted to proxy like that, knowing that Oswald was about to come back to base in a very short respawn timer. You see a lot of soul laners do that whenever you force somebody to back to base, knowing that their teleport is not available to them, but doing it at level 2 in the duo wave, we were talking about their picks and bans being very confident here, but even their playstyle feeling confident. But to be fair, when you get first blood at a minute and a half, you have some merit to be confident, but that's just overdoing it, Finch.
It does seem like a lot. A potential chance to gift away a lead you just worked hard on, but unfortunately it didn't. There's the idea from Baskin. Look at that confirm early on between the Spirit Arrow and the Unravel under the Totem. I don't know about the wave clear, but Totem looks good.
Totem does look good. It is very close to going down. It needed about one more basic attack out of Baskin to confirm it. He mistimed the damage that was able to get that last hit, and it actually goes back towards Armada as he does clear the wave, gets the Totemaku, gets his blue buff as well. And this Neat Star so far hasn't been getting punished yet.
No, not just yet, though. A lot of that Helm Chalice has been used up at this point and low on mana, so clearly it hasn't been a cakewalk so far for Baskin, but like you said, he's been likely getting pressured. Though they got to be careful. Mass is making the rotation. They don't want to heavily commit to this purple buff just yet.
But they don't know that he's right there around the corner. They do have Meerkat rotating alongside. I guess they do sniff something out. Jumping right in is Mass. Is Meerkat still looking to make his way?
Oh, but Baskin's level 5. That means the World Weaver can make its way here, and Mask will fall to Snoopy for the second kill of the game. And now that Meerkat's joined them, they control this part of the map. Good job using that early level 5 to confirm the buff.
And that was just as he hit level 5, clearing that wave as well. Mask had no idea that was about to happen, jumping in, trying to maybe force an engagement, but as he jumped in, there was a hot disengage from Armada. Having that third player backup with Meerkat, having the fourth player contribution with Baskin's ultimate, I think Mask now needs to keep that in the back of his mind for every buff he tries to be aggressive on.
I just noticed as Oswald's in some trouble, actually maybe it's Snoopy who's in trouble. Good dash in from Oswald to at least get the kill, but it's a double for Gino. But Mass should come over and clean this up quite nicely.
Oh, the sprint being used, but I don't know how successful he is. He's trying to body block for as long as he can, but unfortunately, Mask a little bit too good for that, weaving his basic attacks around those 3 melee minions.
And able to clean up those kills. So 2 go the way of Gino, and Mask comes in, but that still probably favors the dual lane of Armada. But I did want to point out, Baskin has beads as his start. Instead of like a teleport or anything like that, he's worried about getting control.
Oh, absolutely. He should be worried about getting control because Uzi stunned can set up a lot of damage. Also, if he ever gets ganked by Mask with Regurgitate, that cripple, he's not going to be able to do anything about it.
Look at this Iqbal damage. Okay, there we go. Fatal Strike comes out to keep him alive. Baskin now, just in this small window where he has Iqbal, is the one in control.
And that's scaling on the World Weaver as well. Getting that extra physical power from Iqbal goes a long way. He didn't even fully charge that ability either.
I think it was more for the stun, it looked like, but Fortunately, Uzi had the Fatal Strike. If he could have got it in before Uzi realized, then that stun would have been enough maybe for Baskin to set up the kill. So I like the idea he was going for.
Now, the sickest play would have been channeling it, but not even firing it, just baiting out the Fatal Strike and still having it in your disposal.
That's right, yeah, if you can just let him dash away. So we'll see, maybe Baskin starts to play some mind games next time. First, you got to plant the seed,
That's true.
before you start harvesting.
That's true. You got to bluff a little bit sometimes. See, I'm more of a start bluffing first, than instead of only play the good hands.
I like that. Nothing wrong with that. Won't do you any good, though, if you play up against the players around here. They don't care about their money. Like Coop and them when they play.
Oh, yeah, that's true. They don't. They really, really don't.
They're all about buy-ins and everything. It's impossible to play because they're irrational actors, totally. You can't predict what they're going to do.
Third Totem of Coup going straight to Baskin as well. Uzi was trying to position himself to get hit by Baskin's basic attacks, but getting hit by an Ichevol Hunter, no matter who it is, even Neath, is not the wisest because now you're dealing less damage to the Totem of Coup, and Baskin's just getting free damage off.
Scream's nearby, but so is Mask. Mask gonna blink right in right away, but they're just gonna go for the immediate damage. Uzi gets the execute, but Scream responds, and now he can try and lock down this Achilles as Snoopy finds Matty Pocket in duo.
Needs to find a second execute. Doesn't even need it here. The minions from Mask actually getting the last hit there.
That is very interesting that ends up going to him, but that's pretty nice, though. You don't mind your jungler getting an extra kill as Meerkat dodges the card quite nicely in mid. So that aggression not going the way Armada, I think, expected in solo, but in duo, it is all Armada.
Both Soul Laners didn't expect the other jungler to show up there.
Right.
Baskin used the beats, but it didn't have the fast enough reaction to backflip away before the lethal damage came through. So good 2-for-1 out of Space Station Gold. Will get their second Totem of Coup in response.
Something must have spawned, like back harpies or a buff or something, because they were both there at the same time. Isn't that crazy?
Nah, they just wanted it.
Just happened to both one at the same time?
I mean, think about it this way. In the 1v1, Uzi and Baskin are trading blow for blow. Baskin forcing out Uzi's ultimate earlier on about 2 or 3 minutes ago.
Maybe that's it.
So that's the kind of play in the Soul Lane that entices the jungler to start making their presence.
That could certainly be it, as Baskin should be able to grab this, though, with Mask making the rotation. He is able to land the Spirit Arrow, backflip there as well, and now all of a sudden Scream could come in because there's a stun, but just barely not enough. Maybe could have been charged a little bit more.
Scream didn't have the speed buff. Yeah, you're right, Finch. I think that Baskin could have channeled that a little bit longer to just get lethal damage without even needing any sort of assistance out of Scream.
Oswald right into the mounted archery, so Snoopy leaves, but Gino in some trouble as Amuel shows up. A perfect stun, but an even better stun coming through from Meerkat. Or maybe not, as he still had the stun available. So Gino, transforming into the bear, probably got the first one, and that gets him out.
No more cooldowns available out of Space Station Gold, and that's why Gino is going back in with a 20% CDR. But Mask now making his presence, and he pops the Regurgitate a little bit too early. He still got rooted out.
But the belt is still there, and the blink hit from Mask, so that sets up a nice kill on the Gino. Snoopy falls as well. So it is back and forth between these two teams. Kills for me here, and kills for you there. They're trading them out, and things are still very, very much even.
The mobility from this level 9 Bakasura, Talaria boots, speed buff, hasten katana, everything going the way of Mask, making that rotation. He was just at the right side of the map, not even 30 seconds prior to that combat that popped off on the left side of the map.
You know, there's been a lot of this hasten katana and stone cutting rush and golden blade rush and what have you and skipping boots, but why not boots also? You know? Why not get Talaria boots, the fastest boots, and hasten katana?
Because then you gotta sell a late game for your speed elixir.
But you're so fast.
You are really fast, Finch. But then there's more like utility that you get from the other katanas.
That's true, as Amuel will certainly be in danger here in the middle lane, but Matty Pocket was there for the knock-up, which means it's Scream instead who falls. A killing spree completed now for Mask. Meerkat dashes away, and a nice stun should be enough space for him to get on out of there, but not before his jungler falls.
Baka's getting first picked
Mask.
in 3 games now, as Meerkat now in a lot of trouble. Forced to use that Aegis. Will dash away, but still.
What?
They need to get this kill. They can't allow Matty Pocket to fall for nothing.
They didn't get it. Mask couldn't get it, and Meerkat makes it back out. That's crazy.
Uzi's looking for it. All right, now it's worth it. 1-for-1 support for mid laner. If they can get another support for it, it's even better.
Well, there we go. Okay, finally. They end up making something come out of that. So Matty Pocket tanks the tier 1 tower just to bait Armada in a little bit.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, that's all that was.
What is that, about 14% damage mitigation? Although it did get nerfed a little bit.
Right, so Bacchus not quite maybe as tanky as Maddie recalls, but that one still goes in their way. It should have been much cleaner. Obviously, they should have gotten that kill into Meerkat, and just unfortunately they couldn't get it. Really, I want to give credit to Meerkat. It was some nice plays using the stuns under the tower to lock Maddie in longer than he would have wanted.
Well, the thing is, he also used the Aegis to buy himself a moment. That extra 1.5 second of damage immunity gives your tower an extra 1 to 2 shots, and even a level 8 Bacchus with Sovereignty, not enough to tank that tower that long.
Now, Tully, it is looking like Baskin has no intention of building tanky at all.
Oh, definitely not.
It's the Iqbal boots into I assume, Aussie or something like that to trade with. So, are they going to have enough frontline presence later?
Probably not, but they certainly will have the damage to kill any frontliner that's going to go on them.
Right.
Now,
No.
unless your name is Aurora, you're always going to be building Neath very glass cannon-y.
Yes,
Aurora
you should.
does support Neath with like Frostbound Hammer, Hide of Urchin, some silly shenanigans, but Aurora's always been doing silly things like that. And Baskin needs to go damage in order to control the laning phase, in order to make the contribution of melting down an Achilles that is in these team fights. And Oswald needs to do the same thing in his right. The good thing, or sorry, Snoopy does, right? So like only one of these two hunters needs to go Executioner as long as they're hitting the same target.
Right, they'll still get that same shred either way. Mass drops down the Regurgitate, but he can't lock in Gino. In fact, Meerkat's got decent return of his own. Just a stun, though, no damage. And they get the ultimate out from Snoopy. That's not too bad from Space Station as a trade.
Amiel able to sustain most of those bombs with just one Exorcism. A little bit of pressure on the left side with Scream thinking about doing something. Does have Blink available, does have the ultimate. Is Baskin going to backflip away on the right side of the map? Still trying to control some pressure. It's going to be a hard commit onto Amuel.
Scream goes in, but Amuel just kind of stands still, knows that he can handle sticking around in this fight, but they grouped up too much. Meerkat got really good damage. That sets up for him to dash forward aggressively. He finds a double as well, but Oswald, at the very least, able to get Scream, and now Gino in some trouble, but the stun comes through as better. A triple kill for Meerkat, and they can head right back towards the Gold Fury.
Very important pick, and I think that Mask using his Regurgitate ultimate about 15 seconds before that engagement is what forced Armada's hand there, knowing that there wasn't that huge crippling minefield, allowed them to just really chase him down to the purple buff.
Well, they have to bounce this because Snoopy doesn't actually have any life steals. It's got to be bounced back and forth between the two of them, and they end up doing it quite well. That's an easy Gold Fury for Armada, but a well-earned fight for them on that left-hand side. Like you said, recognizing that was their opportunity in after Mask failed the gank in the middle lane. And now Armada are getting a little bit more comfortable, getting a little bit out in front, though it's still very close between the teams.
Definitely is, and Baskin using that ultimate in the last engage. I didn't see who it actually hit. Snoopy actually getting disrupted with the cripple allows Mask to play cleanup. An important timing, though, because also Snoopy doesn't get this entire wave, and he might even lose his tier 1 tower.
There's a good chance that he could, especially now that they've got a little bit more backup here. They can feel real comfortable pushing up this wave on the left-hand side. No one can stop it either.
That's right. Around the backhand side, it is going to be Gino, but it's only him. He needs to basically buy enough time for Scream and Meerkat to make their presence felt.
I think he's already done it. Even a little bit of body blocking means that Scream can get up onto the web and slow Oswald down. That's a nice kill for Armada to answer back to tier 1. And Meerkat, not just slowing, but burning down Matty Pocket as well. And with this World Weaver coming through, they should be able to do this.
The stun as well. The dash from Meerkat getting their second kill, losing the tier 1 tower for 2 kills. I think Armada can counter push if they really wanted to, having a 5-on-3 advantage.
It looks like the Pyromancer did go down at least, so that's not too bad of a trade since they were able to get the tier 1 tower as well to try and keep things moving in their favor. But this game, man, this set is so impressive to me for Space Station. I never would have expected, as the tier 1 tower goes down, for it to be even this close, Tolly. They've been competitive this entire set so far, and still, 14 minutes in, a chance to win this one, win the whole set.
Even in game number 2, when they were losing, I think there were still some chances and moments they could have got back into it to play defense. But yeah, you are totally right, Finch. This David versus Goliath matchup between these two teams, no one would have even expected Space Station Gold to win one game. Yeah. Let alone get close in position to have all these kills to win game number 3 potentially. This game is still very even, so it's going to come down to this late game team fights.
I think so too, man. And maybe you can make an argument that Armada went a little bit too experimental in Game 1 with their draft, and that's where Space Station got it. But that doesn't explain away how close Game 2 was. I mean, they took them all the way to 32 minutes and had a good chance that whole time, and they're very even with them so far here in Game number 3. I mean, that's all Space Station to me, and I don't want to put too much of a point on this, but, I mean, it is Amuel in there for him in the middle lane this time, right? It isn't Chapo that they're playing with, so I don't know if that's the reason why there's this difference or not, or what exactly is going on with it, but it's hard not to notice a better performance.
Yeah, but it definitely feels like Mask is just more comfortable as well.
Sure, he's been playing so aggressive.
From Susanoo to the Thanatos to this Bakasura, no matter which game you look at in this set, this Mask is a totally different Mask than the previous weeks we've seen him.
Totally, I think you're 100% right. And it's not mechanical. I wonder if just having that one confident voice in the comms is what it is, because Mask and Chapo are both going to make sure that they're hurt in these comms, right? So maybe if it is just that one, that's just enough for things to look a little bit better for him.
Is he not going to get rooted there, but he should be worried about getting in a 1v3 position. Force the Fatal Strike away. The World Weaver is available, but not going to use that for the chase down. Without that CC Immune Ultimate, it's going to allow Armada some flexibility to push out this right side tower.
Certainly nice to be able to punish Uzi a little bit on that right-hand side, but look at Space Station looking for a response of their own. They're pushing down this mid tower, and now Meerkat has to rotate back in to try and save it. He has a chance to get here before they can fully take it, because it's only a Zhang Kui and a Bacchus. And with that Word Weaver, Amuel's in a whole lot of trouble.
Wow, so much damage. Even Maddie Pocket now in a little bit of trouble. The sprint being used. Gino going to try to chase down Bacchus under that tier 1 tower where he used his status. Meerkat with another kill, getting his 7th kill of this game.
And now they have a chance to grab Uzi as well. The Spirit Arrow doesn't land, but that doesn't mean that Armada don't have a chance. They'll continue to chase. They got the tier 1 tower in right and defended the tier 1 in mid. And the rest of the team, they're going for the Fire Giant?
They might as well try to go for something here because Uzi is just wasting all of their time. Snoopy's like, all right, fine, I guess I'll get off of this objective and contribute with my Rising Jaguar.
Well, that's all. This is all on Mass now. I mean, he's got the Regurgitate ultimate, but I don't even know if he knows that this is happening. He has to hear it by now. He has the blink, but it's too late. He can't even go in. That's Fire Giant down 17 minutes in for Armada.
Oh, unfortunate. They couldn't even get the tier 1 mid tower. And I love the fact that all of Armada recognized that they didn't need Meerkat to stay on that right side tier 1 tower. His rotation in mid lane was so good.
Well, now Mask is going to drop the ultimate, but that feels like too little too late. The tier 2 tower in right goes down, and Mask just barely makes it out.
And no one can capitalize. Amuel is just a little bit too far away, coming back from the respawn, as is Maddie Pocket. They didn't have the positioning they needed to secure the safety of their tier 2 tower. And with that tower down, Armada building off of about a 4,300 gold lead. Not that much, but still something to write home about.
And that felt like vintage Armada, right? You had the right call. They had 2 people, maybe even 3, already committed to the right side fight, trying to kill Uzi. So why not, after getting those 2 picks in mid in the tower, just rotate on over and start burning the FG, see if anyone comes to contest. And when they don't, with this composition, they just shred right through it.
I like the RDO from Gino. The RDO has been creating a lot of just pressure onto everyone from Space Station Gold. The cripple makes it annoying for Mass to disengage. He's been able to stun out Amuel. That actually went for the blink, so he doesn't have beats. Once he gets stunned out by the RDO, you got Meerkat damage following up with another bomb stun from him. And speaking of Meerkat, the highest damage of the game, I think, and the highest kill count by far and away, actually almost close to, is Mask. So he's been having a lights out performance on the Agni.
Yeah, he's been looking good. 7-1-1 is quite a bit. So a good game for him so far. He's now got that Soul Reaver completed, so he'll chunk even further, especially against these tankier targets. Amuel comes to mind. He should be able to shred through him. As 4 members of Armada push down this mid tower. Meanwhile, Scream all by himself pushing down the tier 2 tower over in the long lane.
Look at Mass, looking for the flank. They know that Scream is on the left side of the map, as I think that Mass does get pinged out by those wards. Still, question as to how Armada wants to engage this. It still will be a 1-4 split. They're getting the tier 2 on the left guaranteed, but it needs to be a defense in mid at a Space Station.
They can't afford to give up too much of this gold. Gino powers right through, finds the stun, and the tier 2 tower comes down immediately. Fatal Strike used, but they find nothing there. Now Maddie Pocket has committed with the flop. He has no way back out, and an easy pick for Armada. But now they're re-engaged. Big Mountain Archery comes in for Space Station, and Armada have to start falling back. Mass jumps in, and Amuel gets Meerkat, but he's answered back a double for Baskin.
Scream was doing a good job zoning Oswald and Uzi the whole entire time. Now it's going to be a 4-on-2 down the mid lane. lane. Uzi, very low, doesn't have the Fatal Strike. He goes down as well.
Arachne gets in close. Snoopy comes in for a deicide, and the mid Phoenix can go down. And Totally, is that it? Is that the game?
I think this could be it. 20 minutes in, there's no more towers remaining. It's only 2 Phoenixes, and with a minion wave right beside it, Finch, this is the fastest game in the set.
And yeah, this is it. That's going to close out the day. Armada, in 20 minutes, put their stamp on the end of this set and take down Spacestation Gold. But man, no one would believe me if I told them that it was not easy. This was a hard-fought win.
I think a lot of it came down to the global pressure from beneath out of basket.
Yes, what a pick.
Just all the pressure onto that dual lane. Not too much about the 1v1. It was more about the junglers ganking that lane when Spacestation Gold did come out on top in the 2-for-1, but they didn't really amount to much of it with the towers or anything like that. They got it to about 10% health, but without the 500 gold, they just can't get much rolling for themselves.
Yeah, and in a lot of these games, Meerkat has felt like the guy that's kind of along for the ride with Snoopy and Scream and Baskin. It's hard to stand out. My man stood out here in this game. What a performance on that Agni. Armada get the win the way they get the win that we expect, but not in the way that we expect. And I'll get it back over to the desk so they can break it down.
Welcome back to the Berenstain Bears universe, everybody. The universe has been corrected, and Armada stomps the competition. This time it's Spacestation Gold, 20 minutes, and they make it look much easier than the previous 2 games, Taco.
I think that a little bit of that player fatigue actually started to come into effect for Spacestation Gold here. Some newer members of the team, I know that Oswald not necessarily as familiar with these long kind of best of 3, actually going the full best of 3 as well for Spacestation Gold. I think this might be one of their first.
Yeah, they beat Cryptic once, I believe. Or no, they beat, I think they took a game off of Sanguine. You're right, it was Sanguine. Before it was Cryptic that had taken a game off of Armada is what I was thinking of. But you're right, Space Station maybe not accustomed, especially when game 1 is particularly long, ends up with them struggling here in game number 3. This Neath solo for Baskin ends up working well enough, but you heard Finch say it, the real highlight here was how well Meerkat played on that Agni.
And I think Meerkat just got off to such a fantastic start, particularly because of the fact that Scream found that initial invade to begin with. Meerkat just had so much pressure to work with because of the fact that Amiel missed out on that initial early game experience, and Meerkat just abused Space Station Gold for it. He had a lot of really impactful rotations as well, and just really made his presence known on this Agni.
Definitely. Agni, a better performance for Meerkat than what Amiel had the game before on this exact same selection. This is what you pick Agni for, is consistent teamfight damage and out and control and the ability to put out a lot of damage when you get ahead. Agni, one of the best characters at really pushing a lead very, very quickly, and Meerkat certainly did that in this game. A handful of doubles, a triple underneath his belt as well, and 7-2 was his final score line. Also, Snoopy, I think, got off to a pretty hot start. He started off with the first 2 kills for Armada, if memory serves. He had a pretty good set, I'd say, despite Armada needing all 3.
This really just felt like Armada kind of just beating the resistance out of them. It's just like, not any longer, you know, we've done this dance long enough, but in game 3, we're just going to go ahead and clean sweep this one away. I think that Matty Pocket and Oswald were just never really able to get the ball rolling from duo. A lot of really punishing ganks that came forth from both Meerkat and Scream. And this was, like we mentioned at the very start, just a very clean Armada that we've been seeing all season long.
Exactly, and remember, this is a Space Station Gold team that had a sub this week in Amuel in the mid lane, so definitely an encouraging week for Space Station Gold despite getting crushed in game 3. They do the crushing in the beginning parts of games 1 and 2, just took them a little bit to win game 1, and they ultimately did not win game 2, but overall, better for Space Station Gold. When you're 0-5 or whatever it is, better is what you're looking for most of the time, and let's take a look at those standings so you can see that even though they got a little better, another loss for Space Station Gold, now at 0-6. Sanguine and Cryptic knotted up at 3-3 apiece with the exact same plus-minus as well.
It's actually kind of crazy when you think about it, how similar everything is. It's just so clear-cut if you're not Sanguine or Cryptic.
Yes, exactly. Sanguine, Cryptic, those two are in a tier of their own. Space Station Gold at a tier a little bit lower than that, and then Armada at a tier above all of the above so far. Thank you for watching here on a Tuesday. Our minor league now in the books. Make sure you guys stay tuned tomorrow because patch notes are coming, and if you missed it, we've got our very first dual god release, Horus and Set. Going to release both of those tomorrow, or reveal both of those tomorrow, I should say. So make sure you stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you tomorrow.
The Smite Minor League, brought to you by Skillshare. High-Res Studios. Titanfall, INAP, Steel Series, and Respawn.
We can pretend the time is still. Stay in the daydream, chase the thrill. Make up the way as we go. Live for the moment, lose control. Rent a car you can't afford. Put on a song that we both know. Let your hair out in the wind. Put the pedal to the floor. Flame your lighter, take a smoke. Put your broken rip off, wafers on. Doesn't matter if the sun goes down. We'll still be up, still be up. Don't care about the place we found. We'll still be up, still be up. We're in this together. We both fall down. Doesn't matter if the sun goes up. 'Cause we will still be high when